Music speaks to our emotions. It's a universal language, really. So yeah, music is really special and it's really important, and it's why you should have it in your child's education. Hello and welcome back to my channel, Pennies and Salt. I'm Megan and I'm a homeschooling mom of 6 kids, ages 10 and under. But I haven't always been a homeschooling mom. In fact, I actually taught public school as an elementary music education teacher. So I am so passionate about education in general, but especially music. So recently I asked over on Instagram and then on the community page over here on YouTube if you guys would be interested in resources or learning about some ways to incorporate music into your homeschool. And so today is kind of going to be the first video addressing music in your homeschool. Now, there are lots of ways that you can actually incorporate music into your homeschool, and I'm going to be sharing some of those ways. Hopefully each week, at least every other week is my hope. So like I said, incorporating music into your homeschool can look very different. And so today I'm going to talk to you about one specific resource. But before I get to that resource, I'm actually going to share about why music is so important. And maybe you know this already and maybe you don't, but there are a lot of aspects about music education that really help to educate what I call the whole child. So what I mean by that is educating the whole brain, evoking emotions and oral perception skills. Kind of think of listening skills on steroids. Oral perception skills is basically being able to listen to something and delineate the different sounds and structures of what you're hearing. So that's why music is the perfect way to develop that skill. So that in itself, to me, is one of the main reasons why everybody needs to incorporate music into their lives, but especially into their child's education. So maybe you have a child who is already in private lessons or something like that. I think that that is wonderful, and that is absolutely a top-notch way to incorporate music into your child's education. But in my opinion, we need to go even beyond that. And it's not just listening to music in the background while you're working, although that in itself is huge and also a way to incorporate it, but more so actually applying and learning the history, the knowledge, the skills, the theory, the practice, everything all in one. Is really encompassing what a music education is. So the specific resource I'm actually going to share with you today is one that you may be familiar with or maybe you're not. It's called SQUILT. Now, what's kind of cool about this SQUILT resource is this is actually something that I was using in my classroom when I was a public school teacher. And that to me is really cool because that was how many years ago now? Let's see, Sophia is almost 6 and I resigned from teaching right before she was born. So this was like 9 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, that I first started using parts of the SQUILT in my classroom. Now, for me personally, I wasn't using the whole resource because I had a curriculum and things like that, but I was using a lot of the listening sheets and all that kind of stuff I would have my students do a lot of times because there's so much value in the way that she has laid everything out. Now, I will talk more about SQUILT here in just a second, but let's talk a little bit more about the value of music education. So one of the connections to music and, for example, reading, I thought this was a really neat study, and this again was something that I learned about years and years ago when I was still teaching music, is that they have actually found a correlation between the ability to keep a beat and literacy, early literacy. So that is so huge. So the main thing in the early years is exposure, of course, to the sounds of different genres and types of music and different instruments and things like that. But a huge thing in the way younger years, I would say up to about 2nd grade, a huge thing that needs to be focused on is listening for and keeping the beat. huge. And I know that seems so simplistic, but really and truly, that is like a foundation. And so throughout the weeks, as I said, I will be trying to share each week, if not each week, every other week. I will share some very foundational things for introducing music into your homeschool. And then I will share some more, you know, as you go up the age ladder there. But anyway, it can be, you can incorporate it very simply, okay? So don't let it freak you out. Let's talk about some of the benefits that a music education can aid in or lead to. And one of those is memorization skills. And you may not think that that's a very important thing, but we use our memory and things that we memorize in everyday life. So depending on, as of right now, we don't know what our children are going to grow up to be. They have their aspirations and all of that kind of stuff, but ultimately we're not really sure where they will end up as far as, you know, their jobs, that kind of thing in life. So having a good memory and good memorization skills is actually a very healthy thing to have. And music is one of the things that helps to develop that. Music speaks to our emotions. It's a universal language, really. And so, yeah, music is really special and it's really important. And it's why you should have it in your child's education. So let's go back to those oral perception skills and how important those are, and this awesome program that helps to develop those oral perception skills, listening skills, but also is a great way to learn music theory and appreciation and being exposed to the history behind so much of the music that we have, and that is through SQUILT. So if you're not familiar with SQUILT, SQUILT stands for Super Quiet Uninterrupted Listening Time. SQUILT is absolutely fabulous. As I said, I used to use it in my own classroom when I taught. And so there are two ways that you can use SQUILT in your homeschool. There are two ways that you can purchase SQUILT. There is the traditional printed version where you can choose specific units or whatever that you want to use in your school that year, or there is this really awesome SQUILT Live. Now, we are using SQUILT Live. Mary Prather is actually the creator of SQUILT, and she was so kind to let us try out SQUILT Live for free, but we are loving it and will definitely be continuing using SQUILT Live after our little time is up here. But this is our SQUILT folder. So this is the cover. It's a free printable, but like I said, there's different ways. You don't have to use the SQUILT Live. It's a monthly subscription, and it's month to month, so you can decide at any time not to do it anymore. So what's really cool about SQUILT Live is that it gives you the option of signing up for two different, well, it's the same class, but you have two offerings of the live lesson. And so what that means is you can choose either Monday or Thursday at 2 p.m. and you go into this, you sign up for the webinar, you go in, and your child can actually interact with Miss Mary on the SQUILT Live, which is really awesome. And she can't see them, but they can talk to her and they can see her on there. But she, it's just great how she has it set up. And so what's really awesome is if you aren't able to attend on a Monday or Thursday, or you want to use something else from a past SQUILT Live show, you can. That's what's really awesome about the SQUILT Live instead of just the, you know, printed packets, is that you have access to all of the archives of past lessons. So the possibilities for lessons are endless. So I specifically chose one that was on American music, and this one that we did was Variations on America by Charles Ives. And so I think this was actually in the archives from June of 2018, but we're gearing up for learning U.S. history in our homeschool. So I wanted to choose something that was kind of like patriotic type Americana music. And so I went ahead and I started with this one. So what's great is there's this printable packet. There's actually two different ones. There's the learning packet and the listening packet. So this is the learning one. So it tells the parents what to do before the lesson. And then it has an informational sheet about Charles Ives and the history behind the song. Then it has a whole page of the music concepts that will be addressed. And then it has your SQUILT sheet. And this is what I used to use in my classroom that I referred to. And so it has them listening for the dynamics and the rhythm and tempo, instrumentation, and the mood of the piece. And then it also has additional learning and listening. And what's cool is when you download the PDF, you can actually click on these. They're hyperlinked, so it takes you straight to the resource that she's put in there for you. And then it reminds you that there is a SQUILT Live listening calendar. And again, you can go back into the archives and find the listening calendar for each month. And what's really cool there is that each day there's a hyperlink there for something to listen to, something to click on and go and listen. And I thought that was really cool, just to reinforce what you're learning. Okay, so in the listening packet you have, this is a listening map for the song. And then also there is an activity right here, a listening activity that also uses the same progression of map. And then there's also coloring sheets, if that's what works better for one of your kids. And then a draw what you hear page. So what's really cool about this, and what I really liked about it, is that you really don't have to be proficient in music. You don't have to know anything about music in order to have a really good music education for your child, because the way SQUILT Live is set up is she is actually teaching your child the lesson. And then you just come in and you reinforce it throughout the week with the calendar, the listening calendar and stuff. So you go and reinforce it by them listening to additional things throughout the week. So the possibilities of lessons and things like that are just endless. You can start with the different eras of music if you wanted to, or you can jump right in and do like this, the SQUILT Live, the way it's set up. So like for example, for the month of August, the SQUILT Live theme is Music of Africa, which is going to be really awesome. Super excited about that. Again, if you're learning about something in your homeschool, you can actually go back into the archives and you can pull up music from a certain era, music from a certain country, music from a certain, whatever. The possibilities are endless. So it's just really cool and a great way to incorporate listening to music, learning some theory behind music, learning the music history, all things music appreciation related. We are definitely going to keep up with using SQUILT Live, because as a previous music educator, I find this so valuable. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that you check out SQUILT or SQUILT Live, and if you do, let me know. Again, I will be sharing more about resources for music in your homeschool. I will share, now obviously this one is not a free resource. However, and if you don't have the money to spend on something like this, I will be sharing some other ways that you can incorporate music in your homeschool as well. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys today, and make sure you push that subscribe button down below, and I will see you on future videos. Thank you so much, guys.